Okay, Arsenal. Well, it's good to talk about them at the moment because they are in fine form, winning 6 of their last 8 Premier League matches. Now, they currently sit 6th in the table. They trail 4th place Manchester United by only 4 points. And I do believe they've got a game in hand. Let me just grab that up and just double check that one.
I've got a few.
Tell me a little bit about how you feel about Arsenal in comparison to how you felt about them.
At the start of the season?
Yeah.
Okay, fair play to Mikel Arteta. I think he's done well. When you look at the laughing stock that Arsenal were at the start of the season, it was like, losing the first 3 games, not scored a goal. And he's had to make some big decisions this season as well. When you look at the likes of Aubameyang, what he's had to do there, obviously getting him out, and then he obviously goes into score a hat-trick the other day, which didn't help.
Yeah.
Straight away, Piers Morgan rubbing people's faces in it.
You knew it was going to happen as well, didn't you? You're like,
But Arsenal have got a really... I was disappointed in the January transfer activities, not bringing anyone in.
The exiling.
Yeah, not even so much exile, but bringing players in, get someone in of note. They didn't manage to do that. But at the end of the day, they've room of a real good chance of getting inside that top 4 because it's about consistency right now. You look at the Premier League table, they're 6th in the table. They've got 3 games in hand over Manchester United, 3 games in hand over West Ham.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the games are there, but they've got to win. And the Wolves game will be tough. But they've beaten them already away with 10 men. But we've got to be more clinical because even in that game there, you look at the chances when they went down to 10 men, Lacazette goes clean through, puts it wide. You've got to put it that way. Got to give the team a bit of breathing space, but they're in a fantastic position. And Mikel Arteta, he's done a really, really good job. So I think the minimum requirement, and I said this at the start of the season, was that Arsenal get back into some form of European competition, whether that be Europa. I don't want the conference, but
I was going to say, do you want the conference?
But no, I don't want that. But if they get there, then you have to deal with it. But
isn't that sad that you'd rather not be in a European Conference League than be in it?
But I think I know they're 4 points behind United, but 3 games in hand, they are in a really, really good position. To get really seriously challenged. I think West Ham, unfortunately, with the size of their squad, with the games they've got, they're still in the FA Cup, they're still in the Europa League, they're pushing for top 4. I think their squad might be stretched a little bit too much.
Tell you what though, Arsenal have got to be careful they don't get any injuries.
That's why.
One of their star boys, if Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka get an injury,
even Odegaard's playing really well.
Odegaard as well. If any one of them gets an injury, then they'll be bang in trouble.
Really, and that's why it disappointed me that if you're not going to bring anyone else in, maybe leave a couple behind then. Don't send everybody out on loan, do you know what I mean? But
if Arteta manages to get top 4 this season...
Oh my good, wow.
What sort of a job has he done?
Fantastic. Because there's still Arsenal fans out there that are not 100% sold.
Yeah.
And I fully understand that. There's times where I'm a little bit like, really? But if he gets him into the top 4, then I think you need to cut him a little bit of slack. Hopefully he gets more funds in the summer to go and get a centre forward in, because that's the most important part, getting a centre forward in, because Lacazette's contract situation is an issue. Yeah. Go and get a proper centre forward in, 1 or 2 more squad players, maybe not necessarily, if you can get starters, fantastic, but squad players, because the spine of the team's there. The centre forward is just that missing piece.
Can I ask, because
you may.
I actually really like the way that he handles these tough situations. I like the way he handled the Aubameyang situation and the way that some players have been put out on loan or gotten rid of because they seemingly don't fit in with not just his team idea, but more kind of his idea of standards. Because it feels like he's gone in and said, my standards are up here, and if you don't buy into that, or you're not willing to pull your socks up and meet my standards, then you can go and find another team. And I actually think that's quite a good ethic to have. I
like that as well, because he's not going to cut any slack, which is what I like. Because once you go in there and you set your standards that high, and you said, this is where my standards are, as you said, this is the level that I expect everyone to be at. If someone, say Aubameyang, for instance, fell below that, which he obviously clearly did a couple of times, I like the fact that Mikel Arteta went, well, no, if I show them weakness, because there was a lot of Arsenal fans, certainly ones that I know, that are saying, we didn't sign a centre forward, let's bring him back into the fold. I was like, well, no, he can't do that. He can't do that, because the moment you let someone back else in, that shows weakness to the rest of the squad. Well, why is he giving him kind of special compensation? So I know that the Xhaka one is an issue, because obviously, by all accounts, he is a great guy in the dressing room. The players seem to love him. But on the pitch, he sometimes is a bit of a liability. So that's someone that needs to look at that scenario. But I like what he's done. And he said, listen, even if it comes back to bite me, I don't really care. I'd rather that happen than me let standards drop and the whole thing falls to pieces. Yeah, and what it says to me as well is that the board have a lot of faith in Arteta. Yeah. Because it would look a bit silly if Arteta got rid of your top signing, your goal scorer, your captain,
And then maybe at the end of the season, they were like, this isn't good enough, so we're going to get rid of you as well. Because it means all of those ideologies that you've kind of tried to implement in the team, there's no point now and it's all gone. So for me, that feels like the club is backing him, which I'm glad that they are, actually. Also reported yesterday, Martin Odegaard could be the next permanent captain of Arsenal at just age 23. So if Odegaard is awarded the captaincy, he'll be the youngest gunner skipper since Cesc Fabregas took the armband at the age of 21 in 2008. So would you get behind that, Odegaard being captain?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That's the problem with Arsenal. If Lacazette does sign a new contract and stays, he has to have the armband. I think Lacazette, even if he doesn't play as much, I think club captain, I think he just looks like a proper leader. Do you know what I mean? The players look like they enjoy playing with Lacazette as well. Looks like another great guy. Odegaard, I like him. Is he the most vocal? I'm not quite sure if I'm honest. But then you start looking around the Arsenal dressing room. Thomas Partey, if he can stay fit, potentially. Ben White would probably be the one, wouldn't he? Because
Tierney for me.
Or Tierney, yeah. I like Tierney as well. So I think there'd be a couple before Odegaard, in my opinion. But listen, if he wants that responsibility and the club feel that he's the right man for the job, because we're not in the dressing room as much as obviously Arteta is, then I'm all for it.
Are we starting to see more of a complete side with Arsenal? Because you've got Gabriel as well in there. I don't know what kind of... I've never interviewed him and I don't know what he's like, so I don't know what kind of a captain he'd make. I'm just thinking that kind of centre-back role, you know, or like a Partey as well. Are we starting to see a team that is built more with not necessarily leaders, but people that are team players and that they're coming together and they're gelling?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, you said there, Gabriel, Ben White, Tierney. I like Tomiyasu when he comes back. Yeah. He's done really well. He's been a bit of a miss. Partey and Xhaka. I think Xhaka's probably the one you look at and go, because at times he has been good. Listen, I was one writing him off. When he threw his shirt down, I was like, he should never play for the football club again. They let him back in, but every now and then he stupid decisions, red cards and that. So that's one area you'd look at. But so he's obviously not going to be there for the long haul. But then when you look at Smith Rowe, Young, Saka, Lacazette, Odegaard, it is exciting. But I still feel you need, as you said there, a couple of injuries or a couple of suspensions. You start going, ooh, what happens now? So I think in the summer, the priorities have got to be a centre forward. Like I go out and spend a lot of money on a centre forward and maybe another holding midfield player. Even though you signed Lokonga, but I think he's more for the future. Yeah. And then players, good quality Premier League players. It doesn't have to be superstars, but players that you know can come in and do the job.
When you look at the teams around them, you just mentioned there, you've got Wolves that are just sitting 2 points behind, but they've played a game more, and West Ham above them, who've played 3 games more, and they're actually in the same number of points. It's difficult not to get a bit carried away with optimism, isn't it?
It's Arsenal, isn't it?
And
that's why.
And I suppose it's just being an Arsenal fan that there's this kind of there's a bit of a logical realism in my head where both my feet do stay on the ground. It's not like I'm allowing myself to get excited about this necessarily, but mathematically I'm just looking at it and going, well, it looks doable, doesn't it?
It does. And you know what? Wolves are the ones where you look at it and go, they have got something. I mean, look at the goals conceded. I think only Manchester City have conceded less than they have, which is incredible. But their problem is they don't score enough goals, Wolves. So if they go a couple of goals down, it's always a fight for them to get themselves back into it. But Bruno Lage having a really, really good season. But for Arsenal, you're right. I think even with the 3 games in hand, I'm thinking, what a position to be in. I'm still not all the way in. I'm still not 100% sold where I'm like, oh, that's fine. We're going to get top 4. I'm still a bit like, do you know what I mean? Reserved a little bit.
You also look at who Wolves have beat. So Leicester and Spurs, the last 2 games, 2 massive wins, especially when you think Spurs just beat Manchester City. Brentford and Southampton, kind of games that you'd expect them to. They beat Manchester United. They beat Brighton. They've also beaten Everton, who are obviously in a bad position, but they've come up against big teams and they've managed to do the business against those teams in that sense. Perhaps a team on the up, having won the last 2 games, you never know. Who's the next game against?
The Arsenal.
Yeah,
but Arsenal beat them already, not that long ago. So there's no reason why Arsenal can't think. Start of the month, I think it was.
And it's at the Emirates.
Exactly.
So that will probably tell us a lot about the top 4 as it stands. That game, that is a big game.
It's a massive one. If Arsenal can win that as well, and just put a bit of distance between them and Wolves, they're in a really good. As I said, they're in a really good place right now. But I'm still a bit.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.